Hi, my name is Dr. Kevin Nadal. I'm a distinguished professor of psychology at John Jay College of Criminal Justice at the City University of New York. I was recently appointed as a distinguished professor at John Jay College. I believe I am the 8th distinguished professor at John Jay College in the history of the college, and that was awarded to me in October of 2021, I believe. And more recently, I was awarded the Medal for Distinguished Service by Teachers College, Columbia University.
Today, I have the honor and pleasure of introducing our medalist, Dr. Kevin Nadal. Kevin Nadal, we gather today to recognize your conviction and your career as an activist, scholar, and psychologist.
And had the opportunity to speak at the Teachers College graduation, what was really amazing.
I could no longer remain angry at systems or people who got it wrong. Instead, I would empower myself to believe that if I wanted my communities to be seen and heard, I would have to write those books or publish those research papers myself.
And so to be able to be recognized in this way, makes me feel really happy and humbled, and at the same time kind of makes me feel kind of angry because I wish everybody had the opportunity to be recognized in this way. And I know that the world is still stacked up against so many people who don't have these opportunities, and I wish that everyone would be given the resources and the support that they need so that they can also fulfill all of their wildest dreams. When I first started graduate school and eventually became a professor, one of the things that was really important for me was to make sure that we centered the narratives of people who are the most marginalized, or that we provided perspectives of people who are often left out of the research and whose stories aren't necessarily told, or if they are told incorrectly. And so I started to study historically marginalized groups like people of color, LGBTQ folks, women, immigrants, people with disabilities, and so forth, because I wanted to be able to give voice to groups that were often ignored. Within the LGBTQ community, there are so many different diverse subgroups. And so the types of microaggressions or biases that people experience in their lives may be influenced by many different factors, whether it's their gender identities, their sexual orientation, or even other identities like race and social class and ethnicity and ability status, religious identity, and so forth. My newest book, Dismantling Everyday Discrimination, Microaggressions Towards LGBTQ Communities, really examined the types of discrimination that LGBTQ people, especially across various subgroups, may experience in their lives. And so microaggressions are subtle forms of discrimination that people can encounter every single day, usually based on stereotypes that messages that people have learned throughout society. And so my book really was an opportunity to just break down what some of those experiences might be based on some of those intersectional identity. And so, it's so crucial and critical for us to really examine, the diversity of these communities, and to really focus on intersectionalities, because without doing so, then we're missing a huge piece of what people's actual realities are. And I started working on initially researching microaggressions, or subtle forms of discrimination that impact people of these historically marginalized groups. And what I found was that people were able to really share what their experiences were like, both qualitatively and through quantitative research, which then helped to change people's perspectives. For people historically marginalized groups, they started to feel validated that what I am experiencing is quite normal and something that lots of people experience, which then hopefully led for them to not internalize all of these negative messages that they learned about their groups. But with the way that the microaggressions research has gone in the past 20 years, you've seen that many people have written about how these experiences are so common, and it's not the fault of the people who experience them, but really a problem about society in general, and the messages that people learn through systems that are then passed down through individuals, which then manifest in microaggressions. And so for me, it's been really important to ensure that people of historically marginalized groups, recognize that the types of obstacles that they face are very real. They're not made up. They're not in your head. Microaggressions and systemic discrimination in general. One of the things that's been really exciting about my research throughout the years is the ability to apply some of my research findings towards policy and advocacy and other types of community organizing. In terms of policy and systems, we've seen that many institutions have adopted policies regarding microaggressions. For example, instituting trainings, making sure that professors or employees are aware of microaggressions so that they don't commit these in the workplace, which then could lead to more inclusive workplace environments for all people. Some of my work regarding intersectionalities and mental health, I've seen been adopted by government agencies that are trying to shift policies to ensure that certain communities are being heard. And so to have places like the White House, for example, have initiatives on Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, and mental health is something that feels really rewarding, because to know that you may have contributed to that in some way. Microaggressions and discrimination are really harmful to people's mental health, and so even city agencies in New York have adopted certain policies to ensure that people are treated in respectful ways, that people's gender identity and sexual orientations are protected classes, in which people who work with them, from law enforcement to teachers, that they may know how to work with people respectfully and to be aware of their biases. And so to know that my work has influenced that in any way has been really gratifying as well. John Jay Research is one of the most unique research programs in the world because we're based in the greatest city in the world, New York City. We're a public university under the City University of New York, and we look at the intersections of criminal justice and social justice. I hope in some ways that people will hear my story and recognize that anything is possible.